ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦਿਸ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਆਫ ਦ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋ। ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਾਈਲ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਡਗ ਮਕਲਮ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਬਕਾ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਹਨ। ਕਾਫੀ ਦੇਰ ਹਾਈਬਰਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਅਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਜੋ ਨਵੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਹੋਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਅਰ ਵਜੋਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਆਓ ਇਸ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਫਾਰਮਰ ਮੇਅਰ ਡਗ ਮਕਲਮ ਨਾਲ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ।
Thank you very much.
Thank you, pleasure having you. So how have you been?
I've been great. I've lost 30 pounds.
Yes.
I've got tons of energy. In fact, I have more energy now than I was when I was mayor. So,
Right.
Yeah, and I got a fire in my belly to make some changes.
Right. So, Mr. McCallum, if you could tell us that you were in hibernation for some time and we didn't see you. Now, but again, you decided to come back. Before we ask you why you decided to come back, when we talk about you being the mayor of the city of Surrey, which progressed under your dynamic leadership, if you could tell us a little bit about the achievements which you feel you did in your term as a mayor.
Yeah. Well, during that time, I was always well known to be tough on crime, and so we worked really, really hard on the public safety end, especially in some areas of Surrey like Whalley, that we felt that we had to do a lot more effort to make the community feel safe. I also did a lot of work encouraging people and companies to come and locate in Surrey, things like Campbell Heights. I started a number of high-rises in the Whalley City Centre. I had encouraged investors to come and build them, including Simon Fraser University, and I think that was a huge achievement that I did, is to encourage Simon Fraser to locate in our city centre.
City of Surrey, the future lives here. This is what we talk about, but of late what we are finding, you said that you were tough on crime. It's becoming a major issue in Surrey. And people, and especially some of the areas, they feel threatened also. Yes. That's the kind of feeling which is developing. While you were not the mayor, during that period also you must have been interacting with people. And now that once you have jumped into this bandwagon, is this a major issue, what you feel, which needs to be tackled?
Yeah, I think it's the main issue. It's the main issue why I wanted to get involved again. And traveling throughout the community in the last 3 or 4 months, I find our communities, everywhere I go, from every corner of Surrey, people feel unsafe in the communities. And that really disturbs me, because we want to have our communities safe. You know, Surrey is full of families. And when I hear that they won't even let their kids walk in front of their house on the street, that I heard at a barbecue the other day, because of the drug dealing that goes on, you know, that really makes me upset. So I decided to develop a platform for dealing with the crime, not to talk anymore about it. We need action. We need action now.
Right.
And so I want to put solutions forward out to the public, and then the public can decide who they want as their mayor. But we've done that. We put 6 points in what I believe very strongly is the way to address the crime, so that our communities feel safe. One of them is to set up a mayor's integrated council, do away with the police committee, because it's always in camera. The public doesn't know what goes on.
Right.
To set up a mayor's integrated council that will be open to the public completely. And that it will be all of our city managers, including our RCMP, sit, and it would sit once a month. It would also include a representative from the Surrey Crime Prevention Society, and also there will be a public member on that particular council. And it will deal month to month, using figures for the previous month, of where the issues are and how our different departments are going to address them right away. Second, we wanted to double our bylaw officers from the current 24, which isn't enough, to 48.
Okay.
That's another set of eyes and ears in our community, and they deal with issues like unregulated drug recovery houses, which are a problem in some of our communities. So we're going to double those. We're going to, RCMP, we're going to bring in 95 new officers next year. And we're going to put all 95 out on patrol, because we have found that at any one time a dismal 36 officers for all of Surrey is only on our streets.
Right.
Within 100 days of when we get in, we're going to double that to 70 officers per shift. It's very important to our community that they see the RCMP in our community. We also are going to put $5 million aside each year for 4 years to do what they call crime prevention through social development. And that is, the money is to be used to help the problems that are causing crime in our communities. And so we will allocate $5 million to do that. And the last one, which I think is really important, is because if we get all our staff together, working together, we need also the volunteers or the public to step forward.
Right.
And so we're going to go on a big campaign to encourage the public to volunteer for block watch programs, for speed watch programs, for bike patrols, volunteer bike patrols, or foot patrols in our community. And by encouraging the public, and a lot of them do now, there's a lot of it that's going on now, but we want to really increase it so that if we all work together, if we have the police working with our communities, with more of them in our communities, with all staff, like all the managers in City Hall working towards that, and if we get the public involved and working together, if we all work together, then we will drive crime out of our communities.
But Mr. McCallum, another thing is that when we talk about the community involvement, we find politicians over here, and especially the municipal politicians, only to be seen at functions and other places. It has become difficult for the common man to approach the mayor or other councillors. Well, I will focus only on the mayor right now because there have been so many numerous people approaching us, telling us that to meet the mayor, it is not an easy issue. So when we say about the community involvement, how is it possible that if there is no interaction with the community, just presence in functions, will this involve the community? What is your opinion? If you are elected, how will you make sure that you are accessible to the public also?
I'll give you a couple of examples. When I was mayor, I was known as the people's mayor because I was out at community events and working in the community. I had an open door policy at City Hall. In fact, if people just came to City Hall, if I wasn't caught in a meeting or a conference or something, they could walk right into my office if I was there. I always returned phone calls. I was very, very open to the public to listen to some of their concerns. But I also went to a lot of community events just to intertwine with the community.
Right.
All my kids at that time when I was here were all involved in the community in sports. So I always went to sports events.
Right.
I continue even after I was mayor to go to basketball games and some sports events. So I'm a big believer that a mayor shouldn't be in the office that much. You know, he should be out in the community.
Right.
One thing I did even just a few weeks ago, I went with the RCMP on a ride-a-boat, like for 10 hours, all over Surrey, late at night, and we visited all the areas that are concerned safety-wise.
Right.
And I think mayors need to do that every once in a while so they get a feel for the community and some of the problems that are out there in the community.
Thank you. We'll just go for a small break and come back and we'll continue with the questions.
Okay, thank you.
ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ, ਮੇਅਰ ਡਗ ਮਕਲਮ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ 6 ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਪ੍ਰਪੋਜ਼ਲ ਮੁੱਖ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਟੈਕਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਰ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਆਫੀਸਰਸ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਹੋਰ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਇਨਵੋਲਵਮੈਂਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਮੇਅਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੀ, ਮੈਂ ਪ੍ਰੋ ਪੀਪਲਸ ਮੇਅਰ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਇਹੀ ਪਾਲਿਸੀ ਹੁਣ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਰੱਖਾਂਗਾ। ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਇਵੈਂਟਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਇਨਵੋਲਵਮੈਂਟ ਤਦ ਹੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਜੇਕਰ ਮੇਅਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਈਜ਼ੀਲੀ ਅਸੈਸਿਬਲ ਹੋਏ। ਇਹ ਅਸ਼ੋਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਈਜ਼ੀਲੀ ਅਸੈਸਿਬਲ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਹੁਣ ਵੀ ਰਹਾਂਗਾ। ਲੈਣੇ ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ, ਵਾਪਸ ਆਨੇ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੇ ਆ ਸਾਬਕਾ ਮੇਅਰ ਡਗ ਮਕਲਮ ਤੋਂ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਸਾਲ ਵੀ ਨਵੰਬਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਅਰ ਦੇ ਅਹੁਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ।
ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰਜ਼ੇ ਦੇ ਬੋਝ ਹੇਠ ਦੱਬੇ ਹੋ? ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਕੀ ਕਰੋ?
ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਮਾੜਾ ਅਸਰ ਪਾ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲ 'ਚ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕਰਜ਼ੇ ਨੂੰ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਘਟਾ ਕੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਰਕਮ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਟਰਸਟ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਕਿਸ਼ਤਾਂ 'ਚ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਰਜ਼ੇ ਤੋਂ ਮੁਕਤ ਕਰਾ ਕੇ ਨਵੀਂ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਜੀਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
1866-790-8984 ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਸੋਲੂਸ਼ਨਜ਼, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਪਰੇਸ਼ਾਨੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਾਥੀ।
Once again, welcome back to the program. ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਵਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਬਕਾ ਮੇਅਰ ਡਗ ਮਕਲਮ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਨਵੰਬਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਸਿਵਿਕ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਅਰ ਦੇ ਅਹੁਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਆਓ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। So before the break, like you pointed out, that crime is one of the major issues which you want to tackle. What are the other major issues? Because you have come out with a slate also.
Yes.
And that slate has 2 South Asians also which
Yes.
you have brought forward. So what are the other issues and what is the mandate of this slate?
Well, the other issues, there's 3 foundations, 3 pillars to our whole campaign. One is the public safety area, which we've addressed already. The second one is the ward system, and that's the governance of Surrey. And so we're proposing to go to a ward system if we're elected for the next election, and
Right.
it would be 4 wards with 2 councillors elected in each ward.
Okay.
Because it's very important to recognize how big Surrey is and how many different cultures, and that gives them far better chance to be representative in council if we go to the ward system. The third one is the financial area. When I left Surrey, we had $540 million in cash reserves, and that's
Okay.
in their audited statement of just before I left.
Right.
Today's audited statement of last year, the city has $245 million in debt.
Oh, okay.
That's a swing of $800
million.
million in 8 years. Where's that money gone?
Right.
You know, some of it to the new city hall, which cost $150 million, which is a very bad decision. But we're going to deal with the finances. We're going to look at whether we will have the ability to freeze taxes for a few years,
Okay.
because we feel very important that the public wants a lot tighter fiscal policy.
Responsibility,
And
right.
so we're going to go on a theme of simple government and get away from all these investments that the city sort of is pumping taxpayer dollars into, like the Surrey Development Corporation. There's the environment sort of, or a heating thing that they're looking at.
Okay.
But we want to bring government back to simple government and just do what we're mandated to do. So
Right.
we're going to do that. And the fourth, the fourth one is transportation. Transportation, nothing has happened in Surrey transportation-wise in the last 9 years. Nothing. And so we want to get more buses here,
Right.
but we really also want to push very hard for light rail, and and you have to lobby the province and the federal government for funding for that, and we need to do that. And I have tremendous experience in that because I was chair of TransLink when we built Canada Line, the Golden Ears Bridge, electric trolley buses, highway buses. We did all that in the 5 years that I was chairman. So I want to get very involved in getting transportation and better transportation in the city.
Right. Surrey is progressing a lot of new developments happening, but also, Mayor, we find that the common person is facing a lot of issues. You are a pro people, as you said, a mayor. You did it at your time when you were the mayor. But now the issues of the normal citizens also. Like, for example, you said all these new initiatives which you want to bring in, you will be requiring money for that.
Yes.
Now, you talked about fiscal responsibility to manage the funds in the right perspective. Like you have already mentioned that $800 million is a big amount. Where has it gone? So, question is, do the people feel assured that there will be no raise in the taxes, because you're talking about freezing the taxes also, but on the other hand, you're talking about development also. So how will you manage all this?
Well, we have to, in any city, we have to have a very tight fiscal policy. And, for instance, the public safety initiatives that we have suggested are fully funded in the current budget. And
Right.
we've listed where we're going to get. The cost of our public safety one is $21 million per year, but we've also found that in our current budget, so
Right.
there will be no increased taxes for that. And we're serious when we want to take the debt that the city has now and
Right.
drive it down also. So we're going to go in and trim some costs in the city hall overall. And we also are not going to get involved where a lot of money is going now into, like, the Surrey Development Corporation, for
Okay.
example. They owe the city currently $70 million. And on top of that, they're $90 million in debt. So we're going to liquidate those
Okay.
assets, and that will bring money back into the city.
Right.
And so we're going to have a very tight fiscal policy, and I can assure the residents of Surrey that they won't pay for those. We're going to tighten up all our costs in the
Right.
city.
And as far as your slate is concerned, is this varied experience? Could you tell us a little bit about it? That the persons whom you have selected, how will they be able to contribute back?
Well, this part of our campaign has really surprised me. I had a lot of people wanting to run with me. Originally, I was just going to run for mayor, and then I had a lot of people that wanted to run with me.
Right.
And we selected 4 candidates. I will say right now that the 4 candidates are the best that I have in my 12 years political career, the best candidates for council. They represent all political parties. They live in all parts of Surrey. They have all different professions,
Right.
and I'm really excited about them. And they've come together under a Safe Surrey Coalition that we're going to be pushing forward, that's carrying our public safety message and our other 3 pillars in our platform.
Wonderful. Let's go for a small break, come back, and we'll discuss a little bit, few other issues, what you feel you are passionate about, and why should the people vote for your slate, and especially for you also after this break.
Okay, thank you.
So ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਜੋ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਈ ਮੇਅਰ ਸਾਬਕਾ ਮੇਅਰ ਡਗ ਮਕਲਮ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਕਈ ਐਸੇ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀ ਵੇਸਟੇਜ ਹੋਈ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਗਏ ਸੀ ਸਿਟੀ ਕਾਉਂਸਲ ਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ 400 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਦਾ ਪੈਸਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਕਾਉਂਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਹੁਣ ਘਟ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ 200 ਤੇ 30-40 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਘਟਿਆ ਹੈ, ਜਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ 800 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਫਰਕ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਗਿਆ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਅਕਾਊਂਟੇਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਦੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੱਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਿਟੀ ਕਾਉਂਸਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਲੇਟ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਹੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਸਲੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 4 ਹੋਰ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰ ਨੇ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਹੀ ਮੇਅਰ ਵਜੋਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 4 ਵੱਖਰੇ ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਬੰਧਿਤ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਕਨੈਕਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਾਰਡ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਬੜੀ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਸ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। ਜੇਕਰ ਇਹ ਚੁਣੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਵਾਰਡ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਲਾਗੂ ਕਰਾਉਣਗੇ, ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ 2-2 ਕਾਉਂਸਲਰਸ ਅੱਗੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਿਆ ਕਰਨਗੇ। ਵੇਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਦ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋਅ। ਕੁਝ ਪਲਾਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਵਾਪਸ ਆ ਕੇ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੇ।
ਕਾਰ ਐਕਸੀਡੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਸੱਟਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਤਬਾਹ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ। ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਬਗੈਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਵਕੀਲ ਤੋਂ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਖਰਚੇ ਵੀ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਲਓਗੇ, ਸੱਟਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਲਾਜ ਵੀ ਕਰਾ ਲਓਗੇ ਤੇ ICBC ਤੋਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੱਕ ਦੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਲਓਗੇ। ਮੇਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਸੁਣੋ, ਕਾਰ ਐਕਸੀਡੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕਈ ਸਵਾਲ ਉੱਠਦੇ ਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸਵਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਵਾਬ ਕੌਣ ਦੇਊਗਾ? ਧਾਮੀ ਨਾਰੰਗ ਐਂਡ ਕੰਪਨੀ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਫੋਨ ਕਰੋ 604-864-6131।
ਵਨਸ ਅਗੇਨ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਬੈਕ ਟੂ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ। ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਬਕਾ ਮੇਅਰ ਡਗ ਮਕਲਮ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਨਵੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਸਿਵਿਕ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੁੜ ਤੋਂ ਮੇਅਰ ਦੇ ਅਹੁਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਸਲੇਟ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ 4 ਹੋਰ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰ ਹਨ। ਆਓ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। So before the break, like Mr. McCallum, you were talking about the various issues, what you feel passionate about. Now, question is the youth over here. When we talk about the progress which is being made, lots of developments coming forward. But along with that, there are other issues also. Small developments, parking is a major issue, basements are a major issue. City of Surrey is welcoming about 1,000 people every month. This is what is being said. But there is no place where they can, like easily fit in. Are you concerned about this, and how will you tackle this issue?
Well, I think it's very important to recognize that the development that happens in Surrey creates jobs. And for our families, we need jobs, carpenters, plumbers, and it's very, very important that the development is encouraged. But we have to also at the same time make sure we have the infrastructure for those families when they do move in.
Right.
And so we're going to come out and we're going to redo completely the Parks and Rec capital budget. Because I've heard in the community, for example, that people want a lot more ice sheets.
Right.
We want to have a lot more, soccer fields, especially soccer fields.
Right.
And we got to get away from a little bit of building, like right now we're building a very huge pool in South Surrey, but the architect of it is most of the cost. All we need is a simple pool rather than get into an elaborate one. I also understand it's over budget, so there's no controls on the finance part of it, but we need to build the infrastructure to support, including roads and transit. And that's the big problem. I hear a lot of new communities there, but there's no transit.
Right.
So if we're going to build these communities, and we need to because we want to create the jobs, they bring new taxes to Surrey. We also as a city have to build the infrastructure, and that's what's fallen down.
Right.
City Council has not kept up with the infrastructure, and so we're going to redo the capital budget completely so that we can afford to put the infrastructure into
Right.
new communities.
And there has also been demand in the community about the funds utilization. If you are elected, would you investigate how and where this money went?
Which one's that? Sorry.
The ones which were in the previous, your previous council, the
Yes.
money which was.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yes, like you talk about the corporation and you left
Yeah.
with a surplus and now it's in
Yeah.
deficit. So the public wants to know where is this money gone?
Yeah, once we get in, we've already said that we're going to do a full audit
Okay.
of where that money has gone and where it's invested and how much has been invested in
Right.
it and why it was done that way. So we will do a full outside audit
Right.
or independent audit
Okay.
of where that money went.
Another issue which we find is that we talk about our youngsters not to be weaned by drug dealers and other activities, but they need to be involved in sports. Parents many times or some associations complain that, for example, field hockey, the city of Surrey has built 2 grounds, but to use that, if there is a tournament or something, you have to pay for that, or even if you have to use that, the public has to pay. Don't you think that there is need, if we want to get our children involved in sports, at least the Surrey city facilities should be at a very minimum cost so that everybody can afford it?
Well, we've already said that, as I mentioned, we're going to redo the capital budget,
Right.
which includes that. And one of the things in that is we will provide our fields for people in Surrey
Right.
free.
Okay.
We're going to do away with any of those fees. I'm a great believer that if we build it with taxpayers' dollars in Surrey,
Right.
then they should be able to use those fields free.
Right. Wonderful. And finally, towards the end, why should the people vote for Doug McCallum and his team?
Well, I've got the energy, and our Surrey team is, our Safe Surrey Coalition and myself have all got the energy. We live in Surrey for many years. We want to make our communities family-oriented and safe again. And we all have the fire in our belly to do it, and we're going to put our issues out there, and we hope that the people of Surrey will listen to us and see the energy and excitement we have and vote for us.
Wonderful. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we hope that this fire in the belly, what you have talked,
Yeah.
continues, because after elections, many times it becomes difficult to get the politicians and to make them accountable. So we hope that what you have said today, you will continue after being elected also. Best wishes and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਜੋ ਮੇਅਰ ਸਾਬਕਾ ਮੇਅਰ ਡਗ ਮਕਲਮ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ 2-3 ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰਤੀ ਅਕਾਊਂਟੇਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਦੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੱਲ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਸਿਆਸਤਦਾਨ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਬਾਅਦ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਲੱਭਦੇ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ। ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮੈਂ ਵਾਅਦਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਪੂਰਾ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ। ਫੀਲਡਸ ਦੇ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਪੈਸਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਫੀਲਡਸ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਪਲੇਗਰਾਊਂਡਸ ਬਣਾਏ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਲੋਕਾਂ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਜਾਂ ਐਸੋਸੀਏਸ਼ਨਸ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਫੀਸ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਚਾਰਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਏਗੀ। ਜਿੱਥੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਸੋਚ ਸਮਝ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਕੰਪਲੀਟ ਆਡਿਟ ਕਰਾਉਣਗੇ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਜੋ ਸਰਪਲਸ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਗਏ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਡੈਫਿਸਿਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਿਆ, ਇਹ ਪੈਸਾ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ। ਨਵੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਅਪੀਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਈ ਜਾਏ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨੁਮਾਇੰਦੇ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ।